Steve?
Yes, sir.
Is it recording?
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the April 22nd Select Board meeting. We start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We've got 3 sets of minutes, and we're all present for all of them. Can I get a singular motion?
I make a motion to accept all 3 sets of minutes. Do I need to say the dates?
Yep.
For March 31st, April 3rd, and April 10th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. No addition to the agenda tonight. We have one appointment. Believe it or not, we actually have Mr. Sean Donovan with us tonight. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yep, thanks.
Appreciate your time. So, Sean has been writing the board pretty consistently for, I don't know, how many years now?
What,
Just writing the board in general.
writing?
Yep.
Yeah, for a couple of years.
Yeah. So, sorry it's taking us this long, but you're here tonight, so we're here to listen to you.
Okay, great. You, right now?
Sure.
Alright, so I have an outline here for what I'm about to say. Just
Thank you.
some issues that piled up. So, I'll give you an introduction. Basically, I'm the owner of Greenlight Bicycle Shop and executive property manager at 5 North Main, which is right in the middle of the historic district. Building is from 1840. I've been the caretaker of that building for 11 years. And basically the development around it before I even got there has been fairly haphazard, not really in accordance with the space considerations, drainage, water drainage, just stuff just kind of happened. And so whatever's been in my control, I've remedied. But so the infrastructure that's causing a hardship, number 1B, would be the water. She came by today, actually, Mrs. Miner did, and basically saw what was going on.
You talking about the crosswalk water? Sean?
Yeah, well, I'm going to draw it. So we got 5 here. We got the restaurant now, and we got 3. All right, and we got over here's the highway. It's a breakdown lane. There's a little dirt patch that used to be grass, and then there's another little one here. This is where my parking is, right here. Okay, so the water comes off the road, collects over here, forms ice. This is the stairs going upstairs. It's right in the walkway. There's a small drainage over here. Now here would be the property line right here. There's a small drainage thing here, and that goes to the back where there's a pipe going into some gravel, and that goes away from there. So the water's been collecting more and more here, and right here there's a puddle right where people get out of the car. So at the very least, there was like a curb cut thing that was approved and then denied and unilaterally overturned. I'm not sure whether that would be the best solution or not. It seems to work, but the main problem with 5 North Main Street is that if there's no parking, no business is feasible there. Every business that's been there since I've been there has failed, and my business really struggles because people just don't even see it. They're coming by. There's no place to pull over. There's nothing enticing. They don't know where to park. So that's the issue there. So I don't know whether whether I could run a different business there or not, but it just doesn't seem to really generate much income. So that leads me to number 2. The curb cut proposal was overturned. The drainage, and if the town thought it would be a good idea, he's super familiar with this. It would just be basically like putting a curb here, solving the drainage problem, and solving the problem of people parking in the breakdown lane to run in the restaurant or parking in the breakdown lane to do a delivery, which is further into the road from the visibility of Jackson Street. Which Jackson Street and Main Street have a sidewalk that goes narrower and narrower and narrower. It's crumbling, it's not very safe, and I would love to see that repaired, not necessarily as waiting for some omnibus big thing project, but to get repaired on its own. So, which brings me to the thing that I've been writing to you guys about. I've been writing for 4 years. As soon as I found out about ARPA funding, American Rescue Plan Act, I read the act. I read the House resolution. I applied for it, even though there was no clear guidelines, there was no clear application process of how to apply. So I wrote a letter and I explained why I had the standing to apply for the funds. I never heard anything from you guys. You never gave me an answer. You never said no, yes, we'll consider it. Nothing. And I feel a little bit disrespected because I wasn't even given a response. I know that the money's come and gone, but you're not alone. This town's not alone in deprioritizing small businesses, veteran-owned businesses, minority businesses, and using that money for whatever you want, because there was no oversight. So that's my criticism there. And you know, that whether the U.S. government's intents were followed or not, you know, that's to be determined. But there's people reviewing that in other places, and maybe Belchertown should review what they did. Number 4 is something pretty minor, but I would like to request that no more permit be granted for exempting noise after 10 p.m. Every year, or at least maybe twice a year, McCarthy's has a party and they have a rock band and they have a tent, and it happens Town Fair Friday night. It's loud rock music up till 11, sometimes later. She's trying to sleep, I'm trying to sleep. It's just a neighborhood, and I think 10 p.m.'s fair, because McCarthy's is great and everything, but they're not part of the town fair. It's not part of the town fair. They're just making money doing their thing. And so that, if they're gonna make noise past 10 p.m., then the people in the neighborhood should get compensated some money. That's all I have to say about that. And on the subject of the town fair, I know it's a very radical idea, and I'm not the only person that's thought of this, but maybe it should be moved to the school grounds. That may or may not be in your wheelhouse because it's a fair committee or whatever, but it's getting busier and busier. That parking is an issue. People are kind of expected to rent out parking spaces on their yard. It's a tradition that some people, there's been a lot of places where people used to do that, but they're tired of it, they don't want to do it anymore. So the expectation that private citizens rent their yard and sell parking spaces is kind of, you know, ridiculous. And the school has plenty of space. The fair could be down there. It would get more visitors maybe, and it would be less frustrating for people who run businesses and live uptown. So, you know, that's definitely not my hill to die on, but it's an idea. It's just an idea to consider. And there was one more thing I wanted to mention that I don't know if you guys are aware of, but this water here, this is tap water from last night. This is tap water, and it's frequently happening. They say it's just iron. I don't know if it's been tested. I don't trust it. I wouldn't drink this. So it comes out like this. It's rusty sediment, and it comes and goes. And they, you know, I don't know whether they could do this. You know, check out the pipes, replace the pipes. You know, take care of some of the infrastructure issues that are uptown. And the bottom line is, it seems like uptown, the historic district, has been kind of neglected a little bit and gone by the wayside in terms of business viability, in terms of infrastructure, and I would like to see more attention given to it. if there's any questions you guys have, I'd be happy to answer.
I've got a couple of things. Steve, is that property, is that in the water district? It must be.
It is, yeah.
And are they flushing the hydrants right now?
This is the time of year to be flushing hydrants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's normal.
Yeah.
What you're experiencing right there when they flush the hydrants every year. They do it once or twice a year. I think it's once a year, right?
Once, some areas they'll do twice.
But this is the time of year that it happens.
Yeah.
But is there a notice that goes out to
Yes.
residents?
Yes.
Well,
Wasn't that, we didn't get a notice, my tenant complained about it, he was like, what's going on with the water, dude? I said, they're flushing it, and, I mean, I will say this though, that I noticed an incredibly accelerated corrosion on the plumbing fittings and the boiler fixtures in my basement. The water causes this stuff to happen on the outside of the pipes, and anything corrosion, it corrodes fast.
How they test the water?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they have a website, and the results of the annual testing is posted.
Yeah.
I believe they post the flushing schedule in the Sentinel. We put it on our social media page this year.
But all that's to say is that you're gonna find this hard to believe, but the water district is actually a separate entity in Belchertown.
Yeah,
They don't even report to this board.
okay.
It's kind of crazy if you ask me, but
Right, well, I just, for the benefit of TV, those at home, this is Ted Poker.
yeah,
Maybe it'll just get some attention.
flushing.
The pipes shouldn't be that, I don't know.
And then,
It's probably-
Just
Yeah.
just talking to your point about the curb cut, right? So I know you're aware that that's a state road that you're actually on, right?
Mhm.
That's if it was, even if you're just around the corner on Jackson Street, we could take care of something pretty quickly, but you're not. The building's not. So that's part A. Part B is that whole area. When do you think that project's going to start? 202 North Main Street? Probably what?
You have a time frame?
3 more years?
It's not even on the tip,
Yeah, a few more years,
probably 3.
at least 3.
What I would like done in the meantime is at least for some pavement and amendment, just a little bit of pavement amendment to raise up the depressions. There's a water spout where the depression is, it keeps on getting knocked off, the cap keeps getting knocked off. That would be just a small, cheap, very low cost improvement that would get rid of the puddles and the ice, and to plant grass. DPW promised they'd do this, where they tore up the dirt. If you guys can do that, I'm not asking for anything major, that would just make me really happy.
No.
And it would make it safer, what she looked at, the water does go into the building. It's going from the road into the building, and I guarantee you, if I called the state about it, they say it's the town does the roads. It's a highway, but,
The town does not do the road.
well, it's not in the road, we're talking about the sidewalk and inboard of the sidewalk
Right.
a little bit. And, the least, it'd be the least the town could do after basically a legacy of willy-nilly development, marginalizing me or anybody who dares to start a business in that place.
Mr. Donovan, I highly doubt we're marginalized.
It wasn't intentional.
Sean, you're here tonight.
Yeah.
You're here tonight. We're not marginalized.
Oh, I know. No, I'm not saying it was intentional or anybody here is at fault. There's just kind of this process that has taken place. The town overall could make life a little bit better by helping with the pavement where the depression is, because the water collects there. There was quite a big puddle. I sent a picture to Steve. Huge puddle, turns straight to ice. I have to manage it. Nobody's paying me, and we're paying stormwater fees when the stormwater is coming off the road, and I'm dealing with the drainage and managing it.
Right, so
yeah.
I'm glad you're running with the stormwater fees. They actually have nothing to do with runoff, right? That's a federally mandated EPA, because our runoff goes, believe it or not, reaches the Connecticut Sound. That's the only reason for the stormwater fees.
Right, yeah, I'm not.
It's got nothing to do with runoff.
It's not a point that I'm trying to make, really. It's just a side note. That's what people think that it is.
Yeah.
And the fact is, I'm managing drainage from the building next to me, which, by the way, is in violation of one of the codes about the light. They just put in a super bright LED light. I asked them to turn it off at night. They don't have a switch. It's on all night long. It's very bright. It upsets the wildlife. there's a wetlands buffer zone, insects don't do well, and any plants, trees, flowers in that area are gonna suffer. So I don't know how long it's gonna take to get that enforced, but I want that light to have a switch so that people can turn it off when there's no business hours. The town bylaw says the lights should not, no bright light should interfere with other properties next door. It's just things keep popping up, and I'm the big complainer when I say something about them. But, you know, that's just what I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to live in peace and coexist with people, and that's, you know, I don't think, you know, it's just an example of just one more thing, the development happening without much regulation. Anyway, that's probably enough.
I don't wanna ask all the questions. Any questions on the board?
So I do have a question, actually for Linda. So I did see the divot in the sidewalk and how water is coming right into the building and conceivably would be going into the basement. That was my biggest concern is that, like, where does the onus fall if it's on the sidewalk and it's causing that flow of water? Is that on the property owner or the town?
So I actually have not taken a look at this. No one's asked me to. So I'm happy to take a look at it. If there's water that's coming off of town property going onto private, you know, I'd be happy to try to address that. My understanding is that there is a catch basin to the north that the water coming onto this property is supposed to then, you know, go into that catch basin and then travel further out and dissipate. But I'm happy to take a look at it. Sean hasn't asked me to.
Okay.
I've been in communication with Steve about it, but, you know, if there's something that we can coordinate on and work together, I'm happy to. The North Main project would address all of this comprehensively, but, you know, that could be a few years out. So I'm not opposed to coming and taking a look at things and seeing if there isn't something that we could try to amend in the meantime. Private property is one thing, public is another.
I did bring up the plow tearing up the grass there.
We'll take a look at that.
That's
I already asked for people to do that.
That's great.
That would be great, if you could, come back and let us know, you know,
I'll work
what the
through
findings
Steve. We
were.
can, you know, yeah.
Yes, but just come back so we know what
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
outcome was.
Mhm.
That would be
All
great.
right. Cool. Well, I appreciate you listening to me tonight and everything you do as public servants. Yeah, it's hot in here.
Thank you.
It's not hot.
Yeah, I'm sweating.
Thank you for coming.
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks, Sean.
5A, DPW's request to increase the fee of town trash bags for approval. Maybe we should make Steve talk about this, because Linda,
Oh, Lord. I'm gonna defer to Linda.
no, you own up this.
So, I am gonna defer to Linda, but we do review our fees from time to time. I'll just remind the board that the transfer station, as well as our stormwater programs and our wastewater treatment plant are funded through enterprise accounts, which means they're not part of the general fund, they're not part of the town budget. They are fully funded through user fees. So when we see that we are running into the red, or our projections look like they're running into the red on our enterprise accounts, the first thing we do is we look at fees. The transfer station fees have been relatively stable. And during that time, we've generally kept up with inflation and added costs, for example, regulation changes, through increased users. We've hit a wall, and we're at the point now where we need to start increasing the fees. Linda has done her due diligence, has reached out to other communities, has, you know, some information to support the recommendations, and has a very comprehensive plan on how to make the budget remain solvent.
So I'm not sure if you got the town comparison that we ran. I submitted the memo some time ago, and then we were shifted off of meetings. So did you guys get a comparison on what I was, looking into for increasing bag cost?
That's in the packet on
Is it?
page, starts on page 6.
Okay. So, yes, going off of what Steve just mentioned, we struggle to keep this budget in the black. It's often running very close to red, and I was looking at when bag prices were increased over the years, and so it appears as though the last time they were increased was in 2021, and prior to that it was 2018, prior to that it was 2015. So it is a cycle. About every 3 to 4 years we're looking at increasing bag costs, because that is a major revenue source to operate the station. The major sources are stickers and bags. So that being said, the main drivers of the increases are disposal and hauling of trash, construction and debris, the recycling even. We have a hauling charge on recycling, and we were in a 5-year contract with the MRF, the Municipal Recycling Facility in Springfield, and they just amended that in mid-contract because the cost for just moving and processing recycling is gone up. So we're looking at those as, major increases, besides other taking in other items, which I will get to on the next one we go through rules and regs.
Excuse me,
Yep.
the actual analysis is on page 22, if you don't want to read through all.
So in what I've provided to
So
you.
Linda, could you
Yep.
just please address really quickly?
Yes.
There are some people that go to the transfer station, and they're like, why are you wasting money on making these trash things so muralistic, right? So there are people that think that the town's spending money on this.
Yeah, thanks for asking. We are in mid-progress of 3 murals, and that is actually not coming from any town revenue, any cost from the town. It's a private grant source that was in operation before I got here, even through the Cultural Council and the library. So it is something that it's an amendment down there, but it isn't coming from any town revenue or from any user fee.
Thank you.
I provided a basis on what we reviewed for peer communities, and I will say that we are in, if we raise, I'm requesting that we raise $5 a bundle. So from 15 to 20 for the 13 gallon, and from 25 to 30 for the 33 gallon. That brings the individual bag cost to $2 and $3. And we would be in comparison with Amherst, Hadley, Wilbraham, Agawam. And as I run these analyses, it's difficult to be an apple and an apple, because each transfer station operates on different hours. They offer certain amenities, they don't offer amenities. So I guess my only point here is we would not be above and beyond what other towns are charging, what other people are paying. The revenue being brought in would help for these capital costs. So I have projects that I really need to start doing. I can't do it.
Can you clarify, because some people say, oh, the transfer station is raising money for other DPW projects, which isn't the case.
No, we only can raise money for projects that happen down at the transfer station. So let me just.
What kind of projects are those?
Yeah, I have a folder here. So main capital investments would be, we own 6 recycling containers. Those are the containers that people deposit glass, metal, and paper in. Mm-hmm. We own 6. As far as I know, they are circa 1989 when the station opened. At least 2 of them are unrepairable. They've rusted so bad that the holes in the bottom of them, you're literally losing material out of them. 2 others are they're all significantly rusted and deteriorated, but I got a recent price to replace those for $10,000 each, which I didn't think was bad. But that's a $20,000 $20,000. If I can get those two
Yeah.
replaced next year or two a year, that's a $20,000 capital investment. The other thing is the compactors, or the hydraulic systems. The trash compactor, the plastic, and the cardboard are all, again, original to the station. And we have invested considerable amount of money over the years just to Band-Aid them. Both the cardboard and the plastic are leaking hydraulic fuel. So the lines are worn, they're cracked. I'm only waiting for one of them to fully fail. So I've gotten prices just recently on those replacements, which, again, not pulling out my numbers, are ranging from $38,000 for a 2-yard, for a 2-yard, and $68,000 for the large compactor. So these are huge costs that I am in no way.
Sorry, I think we're having a technical problem.
Switch your microphone? Just hit no.
Okay.
Sorry, Linda.
So Linda,
These are costs I can't take on currently.
hey Steve, would those bins be eligible for the capital project list? Or is it because it's an enterprise fund, are they completely separate?
Well, I think we try to keep the enterprise fund capital out of the capital improvement plan, because that money is coming from the general fund. It's coming from the taxpayers, not through fees. So in the past, we've always tried to keep them separate. It'd be a hard sell when you're running an enterprise fund and your fees are supposed to cover your expenses, both short and long term.
Yeah, I was just thinking out loud. I know, for instance, CPA uses limited use funds for different projects. Food for thought for future seasons.
Yeah, it's certainly worth asking. I just don't know if it's going to be a priority.
Yep.
I think Linda has presented a solid plan to start generating revenues and start bringing those in. What we've done in the past with the compactors, well, we've never actually executed it, but in the quotes that I receive, sometimes there's like a lease to own option where you pay a little over a time. So these are things we can build into the budget, but again, we need to increase the fees so we have the money to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. I'm hearing the cost, I'm not hearing the plan. So, what is your plan? Is this something you're gonna execute on all of these things at once, or are you going to do, does this all have to be done now? Or is this a 1, 2, 3-year plan? This is what we're gonna do first, second, and third?
I mean, I look at it as a 3-year plan. At this point, what I need to do is buy 2 recycling containers.
Yes.
And I also need to upgrade the camera system. That's a $4,000 purchase, but we need to add cameras and we need to upgrade and bring it more modernized down there. The other thing that, weighs on the budget is, of course, wages and health insurance, just bag cost, the bags that we
Can I
charge
just
people.
stop for a second?
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking about what Ed's saying in terms of capital projects. That's why I'm asking, like, what needs to be done now? And getting the recycling bins now, but neglecting, what is it you're saying is flowing out of the other, something poisonous?
Hydraulic fluid.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so there's a part of me that's also thinking, should this be a part of the capital plan?
Well, it
I
should be.
understand what you're saying.
Well,
in
I just
terms-
want the board to be aware, we're not releasing hydraulic fluid to the environment, it's
Okay,
being
because
collected.
that's what I'm hearing.
No, it's being caught in a
Yes.
container.
So,
All right, well, that's a very important
But-
PS.
The
Well,
fact that these
yeah,
have,
let's clarify.
yeah, but they've degraded to the point where they're an ongoing maintenance problem and they're failing, so they have to be addressed. We're not gonna address 3 compactors all at once, we're gonna have to stagger them and work out some financing options, but to Linda's point, it's time. The cylinders are leaking, the hydraulic hoses are leaking, the power units are old and worn out. You can't even get parts for these
No,
anymore.
I'm agreeing.
I
I'm
think we all
thinking
get it.
more the source, the funding source.
Not only the funding source, but like over how many years is
Yeah.
this plan gonna take place? So I would imagine, Linda, that you'd probably be asked for a more comprehensive plan. We get that it all needs to be done, but like, I'm pretty sure people wanna say like, well, this year this, 2 years that, 4 years that.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been here that long, but the enterprise fund hasn't brought in enough money to actually actively address these issues. And it's getting to the point where we need to do it. I'm putting, good money after bad. I'm spending money on repairs. I can do a lot in-house with my mechanics. They're great, but
Not
honest-
speaking for the board, but I think at least two of us are like, yeah, we get it. It's
Yeah.
more,
Yes.
does this all need to be done? Can it be done over 3 years? How much bad money will you be throwing at it if we put it, over 3 years? So I think what Ed's, not to agree with you, but I think Ed has a good point in terms of what is the plan, and ultimately, is this something that needs to be addressed altogether now? What are the costs to the environment? What money are we wasting if we wait? So more of an analysis.
Sure. I will tell you what needs to be done now is I need to get two new recycling containers, and I need to upgrade the camera system. That's probably a $25,000 conventional, number.
This
Over-
is gonna sound really strange, but
Yeah.
what kind of shenanigans are going down to the transfer station that needs cameras?
You wouldn't even.
I
Oh,
have
no,
no
I
idea.
absolutely think we need cameras down
There's
there.
dumping that happens outside of the fenced area.
Absolutely.
There's people that come in and we have the containers and the cameras don't show, and they're dumping refrigerated things that cost more money for, AC units
Alright,
that
okay.
are.
I was just
So
wondering.
yes, it happens, you would be shocked. I would like to get some cameras that face the road more, and I need to get some cameras that face some of these hidden areas. People are leaving TVs because they're putting them where my guys can't see them. So there's lost revenue, and it's not right. So the camera system, I think, is important.
I also worry about defacing public property.
Yes,
So-
that happens.
That
too.
happens.
Yeah.
Steve, what needs to happen tonight then? Do we need to approve the 2 bins and some cameras?
Well,
Increase the fees?
Well, I think the
Increase the
procurement
fees.
is something that Linda and I will handle. Tonight, it's the fees.
Yeah.
So there's a fee schedule that needs to be approved, and then we have additional changes to the rules and regulations. That's the next action item.
Well, let's cover the fees right now.
Well, actually, I have a question.
Yeah, I have something too.
I did jump ahead a little bit to the rules and the regs, but I think it all kind of ties in together.
It does.
These vendors, FBS, Casella, how often are you reviewing the contracts with them?
So we are under a 3-year contract. I know with Casella, we're in year 2. I don't know what years we're in. Steve maybe could answer this. I don't know with the electronics and the tires. I'm not sure I don't think we're in a multi-year contract with them. The MRF contract is our recyclable contract, but that's connected with the hauling from Casella. Casella picks up our recyclables, but they charge a fee to get it over to the recycling center. Though that is a 3-year contract with Casella. We're in year 2. The MRF contract was just amended. We were in a 5-year contract. They just amended it mid-contract because Waste Management that deals with all our recyclables the costs were so high they were losing money. So we had to, all of the communities that are involved in this MRF contract agreed to go into next year with some fee increases.
So we're kind of restricted in who we can be looking at for contracts, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to add was just, Linda, from the spreadsheet you gave, I see that you're anticipating in the first year with these increases, you're gonna net over $42,000, so that will help pay for those initial costs.
Right.
well,
Yeah,
the
so-
2.
Yeah,
we
so
had
the
for
largest
the-
priorities.
Yeah.
The bags would be the majority of that increase.
Okay.
And then I'm asking, as we move to the next topic, to increase those singular items that haven't been increased since 2014.
Can I just ask one more question? Any way we can push this off a year, because this really is not a good year to be talking about this. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm just wondering, can we push it off one more year, or do we not have that luxury?
I don't see that we can. I cannot, I'm not able to stay in the black in this, in this year. And when I look at the capital projects that I need to invest in, and then we are really on a thread with all of those compactors. The hydraulic systems on all of those compactors are hanging by a thread. And if I had to take on a $60,000, $70,000, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Okay.
Are you looking for a motion?
If the board's satisfied.
I make a motion that we increase the FY current cost. Do I do the whole thing or just $25 per bundle of 10 bags?
You could say is outlined in the
As outlined by Linda Leduc.
memo.
Yep, a memo dated on February 28, 2025 regarding proposed fee increase to town trash bags.
Second.
Any further discussion? Just want to highlight the changes?
What changes?
The proposed increases.
Oh. +5. That's right.
Yeah, you just want to tell the public?
Okay.
So the proposed increases would be $5 increase in the large gallon bags, 50 cents for each individual bag. Then the small bags are also going up $5 per bundle of bags, or 50 cents a bag as well. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
So just to remind the board, that's FY '26 cost, so that'll take effect July 1. So buy your bags now.
Can I ask another question? When are the murals scheduled to be finished?
Through the month, the artists will be out there through the month of May.
Okay.
There's a trash gala, not been involved in it, but it's,
It's a trash
Proposed-
gala.
yeah, I guess.
I'm
It's been, I think it's in June, and that's when the full
They'll
release of
celebrate.
the murals is taking place.
I'm just wondering if we could take advantage of just reminding people that those are grant-funded murals, not related to the increase in the bags or the stickers.
Yeah, we can do an update on our social media page. I have some pictures from the progress over the weekend. And,
Wonderful.
work with Kate to get those up.
We also have a new universal shed going in. It's going to be managing our light bulbs, mercury products, and batteries. That is all grant funded. So there's a lot going on down there, but what I'm asking tonight is really just for the operations of the facility.
Understood. All right. What are the big changes in the rules?
The one thing I would say though is communication is key, and so if you can communicate those changes through Steve and communications so that people know
Right.
that the fees will be going up, the gala will be a great place and time to also let people know.
Thank you.
Big changes to the rules and regulations?
Yeah, so I brought to you a red line version and the original version. I've also supplied with you a town comparison on any of the items that I'm suggesting to be upgraded. And I've also given you a overall revenue spreadsheet. The changes to the rules and regs primarily are language and grammatical changes, clarification of permit effective run dates, updated fee schedule, and addition to the description of the swap shop and the universal waste shed. And if you want to go through the red line version, if that's the easiest, I'm happy to start there.
I do have one question. The enforcement penalties, you cap yourself out at $25.
Yes.
So,
Okay. If you're looking for the planning board meeting, it's in the auditorium.
Oh, where's that?
Next room over.
Okay,
Go
thank you.
back out, take a right.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Is there any way to change that language to be more in line with, maybe, double the appropriate fee that would have been charged? As
Yeah.
a for instance, right, let's
Yeah,
just
give
say
me a for
somebody wanted to
instance.
get rid of, a mattress that costs $100. Well, they can just leave it right by the side of the road and you charge them $25.
So, I wouldn't know when someone leaves a mattress by the side of the road, because I don't have any cameras
Maybe
out there.
cameras, you know.
But I think when it's been used, when it's been observed in the past, and we've had to enforce this, it's people coming in without a sticker on their car. Also, I know that we've had to enforce it when people are literally throwing bags into the compactor that are not Belchertown bags.
Right.
So in that case, we can know who the person is, and we do go through the process, and we, yes, it's $25. It's nominal. I don't know how to, if you have a good idea on how to equate that to what it should have been in those cases. I don't know how, but
Yeah, that's a
I'm open
judgment
to
call.
it.
It's a judgment call. You can't, it just has to be an amount.
It takes more time and more certified
Yeah.
mail than $25.
Yeah, we have, over the 30 years I've been involved with the DPW, have very, very rarely had to implement a fine to anybody. Usually it's more of an educational opportunity. We speak to people, we send them letters if we need to. And we don't have a lot of follow-up issues. So it's never really been a problem. And it's been $25 for these fines since I've been with the town. It hasn't changed. I think that's because it's so infrequently used. Now, dumping on the roadside, that's a little bit different. That's a criminal offense, and the police department would enforce that to the extent of the law.
I tell you what, I'll leave it up to the two of you.
Great.
Should we go to the
Yeah.
headline version? Okay. So, page 1 under violations, I just removed some sort of generic language. We asked that the sticker go on the other side of the mirror. So I don't know why the language is in there to make it an option, but put your sticker on, the inside on the outside of your mirror so the attendants can see it.
What page are we on?
Just
I wanna
under
see it.
violations, page 1.
15.
No,
Okay.
15.
yeah.
Oh,
Packet,
sorry.
packet, page 15.
Page 15? Thank you. Okay.
The next paragraph just takes recyclable out. We're not using recyclable bags, so we're calling them town bags. Page 2, so section 3 indicates the bag prices that we just talked about.
Yeah.
And what was page 2? Section 3. Page 3, a lot of red line going on here, but really all I did was it was confusing. We got a lot of complaints over the years, especially from seniors who didn't understand the half year, the full year. I think I made it clearer, I hope. We're addressing the 1 year full permit and the half year permit. I am requesting that we increase the one-time access permit from $30 to $35. And the damaged sticker, it's still free if you return your damaged sticker, but if you don't have it, it's a $50 fine. I went up from $15 and $30 depending on the time of year. That got complicated. I feel like if you go out, you get your sticker, you put it on your rearview mirror,
Mm-hmm.
it is where it is. To be honest, we have people who want to put it on a piece of cardboard and move it between vehicles.
Oh.
That's not how this works.
Right.
So if someone wants to come back and say they don't have their sticker, it's a $50 fine. I can't start selling stickers for less than, what you might charge throughout the year. So that's the reason for the $50 increase. It doesn't happen often, but it's something that I feel like I need to have more,
Control.
yes.
It's okay. That's an okay word to use.
Thank you. So there's that. The next section is where I'm looking to increase some individual items. I will tell you the bulky waste items. So it's entitled Special Purpose permits and charge items for bulky waste items. Some of the language that I'm gonna talk to you tonight, we're including specifically because of the RDP program, that's Recyclable Dividends Program. That's a grant program that we apply for annually. That's how we got our swap shop shed. That's how we're getting our universal waste shed. So it's they change it every year, and it's point based. So this year they're asking for municipalities for extra points to call out certain words, certain language. So one of them is the bulky waste. So there's your redlined in the title. Moving down to tires, and again, I did give you a comparison on what other communities are charging. We're way low on our tires. So I'm proposing that we increase an automobile tire from $3 to $10, tire on a Ram light truck from $4 to $15, heavy truck tire, and we haven't had a heavy truck tire come in, but $25, and then the tractor tire, $100. Now I just had a quote from our vendor. If we get a tractor tire, it's going to cost $200 for me to get rid of it. It's not a moneymaker, but we need to increase these prices.
So why not go to $200 for the tractor tire?
Yeah.
If you're open to that, that's fine. I was trying to be, so that's why I went to the comparison. Other towns are charging $100. One town is charging $500. I was trying to be reasonable and take in revenue or try to break even where I can, knowing that we're losing money on a lot of this. If I did have $200, and then because of my comparison, I went down to $100. But
Well, I mean, we want to make sure that people bring their tractor tires to the transfer station, and if it's $200, would that be prohibitive for people to pay?
Is
And
this a
maybe they
farm
put it in their
tractor or a
backyard.
lawn and garden tractor?
No,
A big farm tractor, okay.
How many do you get of those?
none. We haven't had any. So
Oh, okay.
it's a huge money loser if I'm charging $20, which is currently what we're asking. If I increase it to $100,
Yeah,
it's less.
I can see that.
It's not part of the revenue stream. It's not going to be part of revenue because we're going to lose on it. But the town of Granby is charging $100. Amherst is charging $100. Ware charges $500. They just had their bulky waste this weekend. I don't know if they got a tractor. I don't know where these tires
Okay.
are going, but I put it at $100, knowing it's a money loser. Also knowing we haven't had any
Okay.
being brought in. So I'm trying to walk a line here that's comparable to what other towns are charging.
I
You
think
guys
that's fair.
Want to go 200? I'm happy to go that route.
Linda, are there any items that we do get regularly that we're undercharging, that we're losing money on?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
The other tires, for
The other
instance,
tires, right,
yes.
mention those.
And actually, I ran numbers on what we're paying right now to dispose of tires. If we increase to these, so we're losing. If we increase to these numbers, we're going to break even, which is a good part of
Did I hear that
the
right?
point here. Yeah.
So in total, if you do these prices, you're gonna break even?
Yes, and with
Okay.
the increase, we're going to break even.
Okay.
On that page, there's no E in bulky. It's just B-U-L-K-Y.
I was gonna say
Let's
that,
get rid of the E then.
let's just not worry about it.
It's all right. Hey, now's the
It
opportunity.
could be bulky.
White goods with refrigerants, I'm keeping the same. It seems to be what other towns are charging, and it's not a big loser. White goods without is $25 each. I've moved computer monitor down, which is why it's crossed out. It's going down under televisions and electronics. But the miscellaneous items, so hot tubs is not something we charge for right now at all.
Oh my
But they're coming in, they're huge, they take up a big space on the C&D container. So again, running comparisons with other communities, $30 is what I'm requesting. Solar panels, not something that's showing up, but it's going to be. We're about 20 years out of when the real solar panel boom started happening. We're gonna start seeing it. We're getting pushed from DEP. I do have a vendor who would be at $12.50 a panel, but I said, well, what size are we talking? They weren't specific. It's kind of a new thing. but I'm suggesting $15 per panel. The gas grills, we currently don't charge for, but they are coming in constantly. It's something that goes in the metal bin. We make a nominal fee on the metal bin, but by pulling out grills by themselves, I feel like this could be a little bit of a revenue source. Other communities are charging $10, let's see, 10, depending on the tank, with a tank, without a tank. I'm not suggesting we take tanks, because then I have to get a vendor to take the tanks. So I'm suggesting $10 on grills. They're not little, they're huge grills. And then sinks and toilets is something that we take in already in our C&D bin, but this is another RDP. Call it out specifically, we get extra points. So I'm identifying sinks and toilets, $5 each, to help with the RDP program. Televisions and I'm calling it electronics, computer monitors and laptops, we're already taking in at $15. I am increasing the cost on the TV size. We're way low on the size of the TV if you look at what the towns are comparison to. So I'm looking at increasing by $5, 0 to 25 inch from 10 to 15, 26 to 40 inch from 15 to 20, and then a 41 inch or plus is going to be $25. Microwaves are staying the same. Furniture, most of the upholstered stuff that we're pulling in, I'm going to keep the same. This all goes again in the C&D bin that we lose money on, but it's part of bags and it's part of stickers. So I am suggesting, because the sectional sofa is something that comes in and it's the piece by piece, and it's not just a 6 or 7 foot sofa anymore. It's a 6 piece and a 5 piece and a corner, and so I'm suggesting that we charge $10 per piece. The wooden furniture call out specifically is we're already taking it in, but it's again an RDP program. Carpets and rugs, we're already taking them in, but that is also going to satisfy the RDP program. And the small upholstered furniture is going to stay the same at $10. Mattresses is $100 each. Box springs or mattresses, they're staying the same. I did throw mattresses on here so you guys could see that other towns are charging different, but also $100, so we're not astronomical there. Materials loose is something that we're severely undercharging for. I'm only suggesting that we go up $20, so $10 each. A lot of the stuff that we take in that I've already talked about goes into that C&D bin, so we would collect money on those specifically. But if we're looking at construction debris, and you're coming in with a half a load of a pickup, I'm just asking for it to go up to $20. There's a big loss. I ran numbers on our C&D specifically. We're paying out about $51,000 a year to get that container hauled in and out. It's typically going out 5 to 6 times a month. Again, it's a big price tag, but that is something that the majority of it is being covered with the bags and the stickers. But we also need to get some revenue back. So I'm asking for the increase nominal on those. And again, I think it's comparison to what other communities are charging. A lot of communities don't take C&D. They don't take this material, this loose material. So again, something that our transfer station offers that other communities don't. And then I just wanted to point out what we're taking in for free. So some communities don't accept it, some communities charge for it, others take it in for free. But I wanted to point out that we're taking in mercury, materials, bulbs, batteries for free. We have to pay for that to go out, so that's an automatic money loser. But we're also, the yard debris we take in, my budget line item for that to be hauled out every year is about $25,000. So there's free things that I think we need to continue to offer to the residents. It goes along with what they're paying for their sticker and their bags. but, so that's why I add this here, so you guys know that there's a lot of free stuff going on that is being made up for with this revenue increase right now based on the inventory that we took in last year is about $6,000. It's not a lot, but we do need to get to the current times with some of these items. Do you have questions on any of that? Okay, so then, so this is, again, if we continue through the no charge items, I changed some language from landfill to transfer station. We no longer take motor oil, we do take that at hazardous waste day, but we don't take it, at the facility. There's our brush and yard waste, changing a little bit of language, adding in about our universal waste shed, and then just adding under Salvation Army the textiles term, which is one of the terms that the DEP wants us to add in. I add some language on the swap shop. This universal waste shed is going to be coming in May, and I just removed the specific batteries because that goes under the universal waste shed. And I think that's it. There's a little word under separations and preparation of recyclables, but that's what I'm bringing to you tonight.
Any other questions? If not, a motion?
I just want to say this is very conscientious, and I know it took a lot of time, a lot of work. Thank you.
Thank you. It's not, I mean, this is not an easy sell, and I have to support everything I'm asking for, and I know it's gonna, the residents are going to feel it, but it is what it is.
You have a history of being conscientious, Linda, so thank you.
Thank you.
I move we approve the proposed changes to the transfer station rules and regulations as requested by the DPW for FY26.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Linda.
Yeah, you guys, thanks.
Thank you.
Who seconded that?
I did.
I don't think 5C needs much discussion unless the board wants to talk about it. If not, can I get a motion?
I move we reappoint the following individuals for a term that runs May 1st, 2025 through April 30th, 2026. Anna Caralt-Fenton as Animal Control Officer, Sarah Burns, Jessica Labonte, and Janet Lipscomb as Assistant Animal Control Officers.
Second?
Any further discussion?
Do we need to put the term dates in the motion?
I did.
Oh, excuse me.
Let me do it again?
No, I believe you.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Same thing with D.
I move that we appoint Mark Plant as the alternative voting member for special permits with a term that runs July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
5E, vote regarding the Franklin School bid. As the board knows, well, actually, never mind. Steve, why don't you?
So as the board knows, towards the end of March, we did open up bids for the sale of Franklin School. We received one bid. It was for $130,000, which is $30,000 over our asking minimum price. Unfortunately, the bid was incomplete, so council has advised that we have the opportunity to reject that bid. I feel that we likely should. It'd be in our best interest to try to re-advertise and see if we can pull in more than one bid. Not to say that the price was bad, it might be appropriate. I don't know that for sure, but you know, it would be nice if we had comparable bids so we could at least say that, you know, we didn't fail at our mission to spread this you know, sale out. So I'm recommending tonight that the board reject the bid, and we will work towards rebidding and coming back in front of the board in 6 to 8 weeks with another proposal.
Very good. Any questions?
Just a suggestion. I feel like we should cast our net a little bit wider. on where we advertise. I know we did Sentinel and Facebook. I would like to see this go to Republican, Gazette. There's also a website out there called LoopNet for commercial and municipal properties for sale, and that actually has a national platform. And I'm not sure if there's a fee for doing LoopNet, but I think it would be worth it.
And I was gonna ask, I didn't know about LoopNet, but are we allowed to advertise these on the MLS? I don't know if that's only for residential.
Yeah, we would have to hire a broker,
Mm-hmm.
and they follow the same Mass General law that we do to dispose of surplus property. And that's the distinction with municipal-owned properties. If they're taken for tax title, lack of paying taxes, then we have to follow one procedure to dispose of them. If it's a municipal property that's declared surplus, it falls under Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 16 for surplus property, and we have to follow those steps. So there are minimum requirements, which we met. We had a lot of interest leading up to this, a lot of people calling.
Right.
We expected that we would have a half a dozen bids. We had a half a dozen showings. Nobody bid on it. So I think that tells us that, maybe the building isn't as valuable as we thought. I don't
Or
know.
we need to cast a
Or-
wider net.
So we should do that. I was surprised that the people, I've had people bugging me for the last 2-3 years for this building.
Right.
Didn't bid. So
You're not looking for the board to solve that problem tonight, are you?
I'll solve that problem. I just needed to reject the bid.
Understood.
Yep.
Is there a motion?
May I ask one more question? Should we explicitly state, unless it was already stated, that we want complete bids only, since there was several missing elements?
It's written into the bids. You don't have to, but yeah,
Right, but do your homework should be understood.
yes.
Okay, great.
We'll use some bold font.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right.
I make a motion that we reject the Franklin School bid.
That's all we need tonight.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Steve will come back at a later date with the new program. Review and vote to endorse the warrant for the annual town election. So that is, where are they all? These right here. No, those are the minutes.
No, they're in the pile. Are they in the pile too?
There they are.
Just keep digging. Yeah.
This is the warrant. That's all we're approving tonight.
Why did we sign so many?
'Cause they go up in different places around town.
Oh, okay.
So can I get a motion to start the discussion to approve the town election warrant on May 19th?
I make a motion that we endorse the warrant for the annual meeting election on May 19th, 2025.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Continued discussion, 5G, vote regarding access to the town meeting plan.
Sure, this is a continuation of the conversation about how there have been concerns that the town meeting has not traditionally been incredibly accessible for all of our populations, which I know when we began this conversation, and Lisa really got the ball rolling on this, we were looking at transporting seniors to an evening town meeting and then having childcare for an evening town meeting. And since now we are not having an evening town meeting, we're having a day and morning meeting on a Saturday. It's become a little more complicated. So the new information, and I know Lisa knows this also, is that the senior center will not be providing transport that
But
day.
they can't. It's not, I want to be,
Sure.
they are, they're not open on Saturdays, and their vans do not operate on Saturdays, so.
Right. They also did say that they find generally daytime events are more accessible for senior citizens to drive
That's right.
themselves, so that's helpful. And then there's the situation with the childcare. So Kyle in the rec department has really taken this on. He's planned a whole program. He's seen this as an opportunity to sample summer days programs, which is the summer camp that the rec department runs. So MJ, which is she runs the pool, she would be willing to be the head of the day, and she's not a town resident, so her vote wouldn't be lost. And they have found enough volunteers, they think, to take on up to 50 kids for that morning. He gave me a proposal that they would start at 8 a.m. with check-in, they would have a craft, and they would do samplings of the projects that they do during summer days. So they feel confident that they could run it. My only concern is just that since this would be our first time trying it, this is not a normal town meeting year. I see pros to both sides. I would love to know how you all feel about it.
I don't know. One of the things that sticks out in my head last time we met was somebody made the comment, maybe this is not the year.
Mm-hmm.
That
I
was
think
me.
that was
That was you.
me.
Okay, you take credit, it's fine.
I don't know. I really appreciate Kyle stepping up and
Me too.
all hands on deck. Absolutely. I'm not, I guess I don't feel overly strong one way or the other.
I don't think we as a board should be in the business of programming. And this feels a lot like programming. I think if Kyle takes it on and the liability falls with the town, then it's something that could be considered. I do have concerns about, it's gonna be an all, I don't know, maybe it's only a couple of hours. I have no idea how long this thing is gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
And if parents have to leave or if there's something going on with the child, there's a distance involved. They're not like right there. I'm also concerned, I've heard things, like, what about allergies? What about snacks? That's when I started thinking, I'm not a programmer.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the things that, for me, like, when I first brought this all up, this was a couple of hour meeting at night.
Mm-hmm.
Given that this is an unusual town meeting, I would assume, I'm not gonna stand in the way, but I certainly, I do this very cautiously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my thinking really is, let's wait, kick the tires, and do it next year. But I also understand
Mm-hmm.
this is something that was important to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels odd for me to say, okay, wait.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all in which to say I'm really on the fence with this.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question? Did Kyle indicate how long they could do it for? Like, is it just however long the meeting is however long they're gonna stay?
I think he's seeking guidance on that, which of course none of us know how long this meeting will go. The proposed schedule he sent ended at 1, so an 8 to 1 program. So that'd be 5 hours.
I would hope.
42 articles, right? 42, 46 articles?
46
I'm gonna try to
articles.
condense some.
I thought it was 43. It's 46?
46.
Okay.
Yeah. The good news is, no, I'm not in the child care business or program business for young people either, but Kyle is, and he does run summer days very successfully every year. So he does feel pretty confident about it. I don't know if he's on the call. I don't think he is.
I am on the phone.
Kyle!
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, hey Kyle. Kyle,
How are you?
how do you wanna weigh in on this?
So I think you have some valid points that was brought up about some of the things that were already previously discussed on certain avenues. Once again, we're willing to try to provide some sort of program, if you will, for this meeting. But once again, we're kind of at the mercy of what the guidance from the board is as far as, do you want to try to run this and push this through for this upcoming meeting, this year, based off of everything. We most certainly can do it. I have the avenue, I have the staff, and volunteers willing to run this type of program. Once again, some of the things that were brought up with a meeting and a conversation with Ed and Whitney that I had was just some of the unknowns. How long is town meeting going to be? How many kids are going to sign up for this, or how many parents may take advantage of this? What are the age groups? Are we going to have a lot of younger and only a few older age groups? All of those dynamics do come into play for some of the programming pieces of that, once again, we're going to have a variety of things if we run this that we would offer during certain time frames, things like that. Once again, certain things come to mind, like Lisa already brought up about, food allergies. Do we limit what kids are able to bring? Do we have separate tables if we're in the cafeteria? All of those things we can navigate, and we can figure out some sort of protocol and policy that we have for the program we end up running if we do run it this year. If you choose to hey, let's table it and really look at a more detailed plan to go forward in previous years, we most certainly can do that as well. So, I'm willing to work either way, however the board sees fit. And I know talking with MJ, she was comfortable being there. She's dealt with obviously different camps coming into the rec department, the pool. The pool party's in a different dynamics with that as well, being the point person. So, ultimately it's what you feel most comfortable doing as a board and what you feel, we should pursue or not pursue this year as we move forward.
Thanks, Kyle. All right, so in my conversation with Kyle, I outlined a number of my concerns. Kyle and Whitney both said that it doesn't have to be a free-for-all. They can limit the participation, the upside, limit the participation. They can shut down, they got to pre-register, so you can shut down registration, as soon as it hits whatever capacity Kyle feels comfortable with. Talked about some of the things about the allergies and stuff like that. They talked about the span of control being no greater than 10 to 1.
Yeah, because of Massachusetts guidelines.
So I think
What about the food and what about water? Right, is the town providing what?
no.
Yeah, I mean, so what's the plan?
Well, that's part of the registration process is people saying, hey, listen, I understand I've got to provide my child water, food, stuff like that, if it takes that long. So I feel good that Kyle understands the restrictions, or excuse me, the capacities in place. If this was a free-for-all, there's no way it could work.
Right.
And with a sign-up period being what it is, and like, let's just say somebody showed up after the sign-up period, showed up the day of the meeting, there'd be no space for them. You gotta be pre-registered.
And in that case, their child, of course, can go with them into town meeting.
Yeah.
It won't be as much fun, but they can do that.
Who knows? It might be fun.
So Whitney, you said that this is like a sampling of what they're gonna tell me. What you said at the beginning?
and Kyle had used that term at some point. I don't want to put you on the spot, but he had mentioned, doing a guided art project or a craft. They had also talked, or they're going to talk to the school about using the movie license as an option, because I think the schools have the ability to potentially show a movie, but I'm looking right at people at the schools and should do this if I'm making things up.
So I guess where I'm going with this is, it sounds like you want this to be some kind of a teaser for something that takes place in the summer where where a fee is charged,
It was
right?
a suggestion.
Okay. Because I think that's actually not a bad idea to drum up interest in this if it leads to revenue in the summer with increased participation.
Right.
Oh, well, are we charging for this? We're charging for this.
The initial proposal was either free or $5 a head.
But the summer one would be
You
like
do.
a full amount of money.
You do,
Yeah, so
and
if you
it
could
will be
drum up
open for
interest.
registration at that point, as long as it's not full
Well,
already.
I think charging even a nominal fee shows commitment.
Sure. Maybe they, and I don't know, I'm speaking for Kyle again, but maybe in the registration, maybe they could even say like, I would like to donate $5 to help support another family or something. Maybe that's an option.
I don't disagree, Lisa. This is, in my view, this is more of a test program.
Yeah.
We're limiting capacity. We're limiting.
Right.
This will be a very controlled environment in terms of like what is expected and how it's all going to work. So for that reason alone, I'm not a big fan of charging for test programs, but because they're going to help us learn how to do this sort of stuff in the future, if it even works at all.
Right.
So
Honestly, my fear is not that it fails. My fear is that it's not utilized, and that we run all of this and we get 6 kids there.
then that's
That
where the
might
chips fell.
Yeah, and then that.
Are you
that is the
hearing
top.
from a lot of residents?
No, I really haven't been. I haven't been asking on social media, which is I know where I would definitely get the most response. Just
Well,
in asking word of mouth.
When I first started this, I was getting feedback that
Sure.
would take advantage of this program, and that's why I wanted to push it forward. I do disagree with you, though, that I think that if parents wanted to go to town meeting, they would pay a whole lot more than $5 to have
Sure,
have
make
someone
$5.
sit.
I mean,
And I'm okay with that. I also know that when there's money involved, there's a little more commitment, and $5 is not a big ask, even for a test program.
Fair point.
Yeah,
Well, it's a nice way of saying I am actually going to be there.
that's what I mean.
That's helpful.
It says I'm going to be there.
And I can't say what people are really thinking this year because it's such an odd year, but I know at least last town meeting there were a whole row of us looking at, okay, I'm up to $45, I'm up to $50.
Yeah.
So it would be
is
$5
nothing.
looks real good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do we feel collectively?
It's not on us. This is on Kyle. He's doing all the programming.
Yes.
So,
Kyle, did you hear that?
Kyle, you hear that?
Yep, I hear you.
Okay. And so, you will be looking at all paperwork and liability waivers and all of that. And so, given that, we'll give this, I would definitely put it out as a test program, and that we know that this does not satisfy the greater need of creating access so that more folks can join us at town meeting. There are a lot of populations that have voiced concerns. So this is just a test, and that we recognize that we have much more work to do.
Steve?
Before the board decides for sure, I'm not in favor of any fee this year, simply because I would wanna check with our insurer first to make sure if that changes any of the liability.
Good point.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
And if we get 50 kids and we get $5 a piece, we're not gonna solve the town's structural deficit with the income, so let's not worry about it.
It's not about that.
Secondly, there may be some confusion on room assignments. And this may have been part of a compromise plan, but the IT director had talked about using the cafeteria to set up for overflow for parents with children.
Okay.
I don't know if we can mix parents with children with, you know, a daycare, so we may have to nix the idea of parents with children if we're gonna put daycare in here,
I see.
or childcare, I should say. Terry is on, and she knows a little bit more about that if we don't wanna recognize her quickly, but,
And if she speaks, is there a third space that could be an overflow room? Because I don't think Kyle's program will be able to accommodate children that are not potty trained or under preschool age.
yeah, so the auditorium is set up for meeting access already because it has a screen and BCTV's already in that room, so that would be the logical choice. But then now it becomes an issue of whether or not we can have programming for children in that room, where they wanna be at a table coloring or painting, you know, so I don't know how that would work. So there may have to be a little bit of finagling between the two interests, is all I'm trying to point out.
So leave it up to you to figure out, Kyle to figure out?
Yeah, I think Kyle and the IT director and Terry Camerlin can work that
Well,
out.
Terry's on. Do you want her to?
Yeah, if she has anything to add to that.
Terry, anything to add to that conversation?
Are you there, Terry?
Maybe not. Alright.
Okay.
And I'm happy to wait, just to clarify though, if we are not moving forward with it to today, does that mean we have to wait till May 5th to make that decision? Because then I'm afraid we're getting a little too late.
I think we're moving forward with it, no? Yes, no?
Yeah, I think we need to make a decision tonight to give Kyle as much time as possible.
And I know Kyle and I have spoken, he's spoken to others about having a cutoff date, so that if for some reason no one signs up by, you know, May 15th, then that's a way that we've learned information about it also.
Sure.
Any other thoughts? I think we should move forward with it tonight. Test pilot program,
Yeah.
doesn't solve needs for everybody, but it is a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have to vote on it?
Yep.
Okay.
you wanna make a
Yeah,
motion?
sure. I move that we put into action the pilot program for childcare for the annual town meeting on May 31st, which will be run by the Recreation Department. Any edits?
You mean on May,
Maybe the 19th,
no,
31st.
May 31st.
excuse me.
one-day pilot program.
One-day pilot program for childcare on May 31st for town meeting.
Second?
And all the details will be worked out by Kyle, and if he has any questions, he should probably loop you in with me, right?
Talk to Steve.
Talk to Steve.
Sure, and I'm happy to troubleshoot anything as well.
Great.
Terry wants to speak.
Oh.
I just saw her on mute for a minute.
Can you guys hear me now?
We can, Terry.
Oh, sorry about that, something happened. But I met with Kevin, and this morning we walked through the high school looking for the layout. And the way it's going to work is the main will be in the gymnasium, and then the overflow will be in the cafeteria for parents with children. And we're going to have a screen in the cafeteria so that they can see the voting. And their clickers will work in the cafeteria, but not in the hallway. So the thought was it would be a little bit easier for parents to stay with their children and yet still be able to vote. So that's kind of what the process is.
So parents with children can still go into the gymnasium, correct?
Correct, absolutely. But I mean, the thing that Kevin and I were talking about, you know, we're going to say like a 4 or 5 year old, where we don't allow and we need to program.
I don't know what she said.
She's saying little kids. She said 4 and 5, but I think she means younger.
Right, I think my question is if parents with kids can go into the gymnasium or the auditorium, why does the cafeteria have to be specifically segregated from parents with kids? I don't know.
Right, and my only concern is if this is a popular program, if we have 40 school-age children, they probably don't want to be trying to listen to town meeting in that space, be very
That's an
loud,
awful thing to make a kid go through.
just super noisy.
I mean, if they want to, but I can't think of a kid that's gonna wanna do that.
Can we use the auditorium, or is that not an option?
Well, that's the third room. That's the room already. Overflow room. Am I missing that, Steve? That's the way it was left.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't privy to this morning's conversation. I did know they were looking at an area for parents. I don't know if we can activate a third space for parents with children versus parents without children. I guess what's the board's priority? Do you want childcare, or do you want a space for parents who want to sit with their children? Because it may be one or the other. And
Well, it's my understanding parents are free to bring their children wherever. It doesn't matter to them.
Yes.
I could clarify, I was just talking to Kevin this morning about the idea.
Sure.
Do I need to be recognized?
Of course, you recognize.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah, the idea was the cafeteria would be, it also serves as overflow.
So 3 areas.
2, just the cafeteria, just the gymnasium. I don't know why the auditorium was taken out as the option, but it's just the 2.
I wonder if that was a decision that was made when it seemed as though childcare was not going to be moving forward.
That was a anticipating it might not be.
Right, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
yeah, I think logistically it becomes a problem with the clickers, because now we have to have 3 setups of Wi-Fi and potentially
You can still have 2 setups.
Yeah,
2 setups.
just
Okay.
auditorium and gym.
Yeah.
right?
Auditorium and gym. Leave the cafeteria
Yes,
for the program.
yes.
I thought we were just trying to stay in the auditorium. So.
For the full town meeting?
Excuse me?
For the full town meeting in the
No.
auditorium?
I thought Terry was saying that she didn't wanna have to, Terry, what did you wanna do at town meeting?
Just the gymnasium
Yeah,
and the cafeteria was as the overflow. If we do just the gymnasium, we're at about 1,800.
right.
If you're looking to do the auditorium as well, that's a whole nother setup and a whole nother set
Yeah.
of costs.
No, we don't wanna do that.
Well,
or at least I don't wanna do that.
I don't want a third setup.
No.
I'm saying have the second setup in the auditorium and just leave the cafeteria for the program. So there's still only 2 setups.
Remember, we had overflow up on the track.
Which is great for the little toddlers.
If it's easier, we can shift gears from the program side, and if we can get permission from the school to use a classroom or 2 classrooms side by side, if we get to that point, that could be something we could manage. It just comes.
So Brian's shaking his head yes. I
What
think that means go ahead.
in the school would be comfortable with that, as you think.
Yeah, I think that's great. I would
So-
say if you're gonna use the cafeteria, you
That's-
really need
Wait,
to,
hold on, Kyle.
sorry, you really need to set up chairs. Those cafeteria chairs, you can't sit in for
Yeah.
4 hours.
No.
So classroom, in your opinion, Brian, would actually be
Yeah,
better?
classroom would be great. We could hook them up with, 2 classrooms together.
Oh.
I just can't see someone sitting in a cafeteria table for 4 hours,
Oh, that's helpful information. Thank you.
especially the adults.
All right, so I think there's consensus to move forward with the program, but I think we should leave the details to Steve, really.
Yeah, I don't know if Kyle and Terry heard that comment, but Superintendent Cameron agreed that he could make a couple classrooms available. Does that help with the plan?
Helps me. I'll do whatever, Steve. I can meet with you and we can discuss the details of that. We can make it work.
Great.
Terry, you're good? Terry's good?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna have to talk with Kevin about the logistics, because he spent the day today hooking up the gym and the cafeteria. So if we're not using the cafeteria, but instead going into a classroom for the overflow, we
No.
would need some direction on that.
No, the childcare will be in the classrooms. The overflow and parents with children will be in the cafeteria.
Okay, perfect,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay.
So Whitney made a motion, Lisa, you seconded.
Seconded. All in
All
favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Exciting, pilot programs.
I know, doing something new.
5H, authorize the chair/vice chair to create, approve, and publish Proposition 2.5 override information on behalf of the board on the website. That's a lot of words. Steve, why don't you cue this one up for us?
Sure. And for the board's benefit, this discussion item is on here to talk about future postings and how the select board, if you so choose, wish to relay information about the Proposition 2.5 override. The board acting as a whole would need to approve any messaging. There's certainly 3 types or more of messaging. Could be for, could be against, could be neutral. All of that stuff is really not what we're here to talk about tonight. It's how do we do this efficiently. If we wait until we have messaging to bring back to the board, it's going to be a few weeks before we can get things out onto the website and our social media pages. If somebody is authorized, we can expedite that and start getting the word out sooner. So those are the choices that we need to talk about tonight, is how do we anticipate the timing on messaging, who's going to approve it, and what is it going to look like. So, and that was at the advice of council, that we should have somebody that is approving messaging before it's sent out.
Okay. Open discussion. Who wants to start?
Well, just to be very clear, we're only talking about the Proposition 2.5 question. This is not about the select board taking on the role of approval for all town communications as they go out. And in fact, that process is yet to be identified, and shouldn't really be what we discuss. That's more Steve's job.
Yep, tonight is just about the 2.5 override, postings, language, that stuff. So, all right, why don't I start and put my foot in my mouth and everyone can yell at me.
Oh, good, I'll follow.
I think we can be doing consistent job on the use of social media. The question then becomes like, what or how do you say things? I'm of the mindset that because it's a town resource, it should be factually oriented, so that whether you're voting yes or no, at least folks are getting facts that are largely indisputable. That's what I think.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I agree, period.
I agree except for one word, largely. I don't care, town website, Facebook, 100% facts only.
Yeah.
No, I don't want anything dripping in opinion again.
Nicole, I could assure you that would be the intent. It's been my experience. I could say it's a nice sunset out, and somebody would disagree with me. Right? It's just the way human beings work, if you ask me. But
Yeah.
I would endeavor to do exactly what you're talking about. Is let's put the facts that are out there, and that's why I think it would be helpful if, for instance, here it has authorized the chair and vice chair. If Lisa and I agree on it, then at least you got several different views, several different perspectives on it. I'm fully aware that the very first post that comes out on that website, somebody's going to be mad.
Absolutely.
It almost doesn't even matter what we put.
Well, I think that's where you got to leave a lot of the charts that are on there now, like the very first, when you scroll down and you see like the, I believe it's right from the DLS, right? That's something that you really can't dispute with, but there is an infographic that is still in there that I do have an issue with. It's got like the arrows up and down. I really would like to see that removed because I think that has way too much opinion in it.
Well, I think, that's already out there. It's already been posted. I think it's
It
been
can be taken down though.
Yep.
I would like it to be.
I think this is really about if the board trusts Ed and I to develop messaging that is neutral, knowing full well that we can put something out that we believe is as neutral as can be, and that there will be a word or something that that will be picked on. But the brunt of what we're trying to do is put out the facts without weighing in one way or another.
Like I would feel confident, Nicole, in saying that the stuff that's in my mind would be 100% factual from my perspective, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what the reader's going to infer.
No, I understand. You're walking a really fine line, and so then the alternative is, do we put out nothing other than just calculations and numbers, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then that's where I think we could be stronger, because if you look at the no camp and the yes camps, stuff like that, I've just seen inaccuracies
On both sides.
on both sides, and I would like to have at least the town website be okay. Here's the fact sets, how we even got there, just the numbers themselves. Like, it'd be more in line with what you're talking about the facts and figures. But like, I don't see this being like I don't see even 10 posts would be amazingly large.
I
I'm
also
thinking
think that
I'm thinking like 5.
There's enough difference between Ed and I that if we can come to an agreement on
The fairness and accuracy.
that's right, that we will do our best to do our best by this board. And
Representing the different opinions, correct?
absolutely.
We're great at benchmarking. Do we have any good examples of other towns that have done this well, that have maneuvered the education and the information without being polarizing or sided? I know there's not a lot
that
of
I'm aware
time.
of. And even
Yeah.
then, messaging in one town, I don't necessarily think resonates. Belchertown has its own character, as it should be.
Because the only thing that I can think of that's similar is when you go to vote on a ballot question at the national level, and they say a yes vote means this and a no vote means this, and it's just the facts. Is that kind of what we're thinking?
That could be something along the lines, maybe a little bit later. We'll
But
talk
for
about it as a
right
board,
now-
but not, for right now, no, it wouldn't be that way. But I could see this board even taking up the May 5th meeting, like dedicate a yes and a no
Mm-hmm.
column.
Mm-hmm.
Something.
And
I
just
don't know.
very factual, like this is the positions that will exist with this. These are the positions that will not exist with this. Something just very
Hard to say.
Hard to say, yeah, that, this is in response to residents who are angry that nothing is up. And we need to, put something on the town website that
Mhm.
says, this is where we are.
right, because they want to know where is the foundation of fact, and it's not clear right now where that is, and it should be with the town.
Correct. That's what I think.
Okay.
So, we received an email today from our clerk, and she made a really good point, one that resonated with me, that she should be, as the chief election officer, any topics that are related to an election or a ballot question, that they go through her for approval. And I actually don't disagree with that statement. And so I think we should talk about that as well.
Sure. What do you want to say?
Well, that I want that to be part of the process on a topic like this.
I don't think allowing another elected official to censor the board's views, I don't think that's appropriate.
I don't either. Well, I appreciate what Terry says, and I do think that she has a lot of valid points. I'm right with Ed on this one.
My problem with that is I feel like had this gone through our town clerk, what has already happened might not have happened.
I feel that if these protocols were in place before what happened, this wouldn't have happened in place either.
Could I just say that this is a new position?
Mm-hmm.
We're learning a lot. It's a wonderful gift to have this position here. I don't think as a community have fully understood what the ramifications are and the processes that need to be identified so that this individual has proper guidance, knows who to go to for approval, understands what the rules are of engagement. And this is a wonderful opportunity for us to begin looking at that. Steve obviously is this person's manager. So I also want to be careful about the board taking on any kind of a managerial role. It's not our job.
I would agree. This
Right.
is a
But
very,
this is
very unique issue.
very unique issue. And I'm only bringing this up because what we're hearing. So this vote is about whether or not this board feels, and I'm not getting a sense that they do, feels that for the Prop 2.5, Ed and I can work on the messaging and have that go through for the town website. And I want to understand if that's something that the board can support, or if they are not in support, of what direction we should go in.
So I have a question. We have another month to go. Were you anticipating having more commentary go out on this topic?
Oh, I think we need to have some information going out to the taxpayers and the voters about what they're voting on. Absolutely. And the board doesn't have another regularly scheduled meeting till May 5th, which is 2 weeks prior to the election. That's not a lot of time. We also have the local newspaper, we have our website, social media platforms. So the sooner the better, because there's a lot of accurate information floating around out there. There's also a lot of inaccurate information. And the longer that is out there, the more deep-rooted it becomes. So we really need to start getting some messaging out.
Messaging or facts?
Facts.
How do you feel?
I feel, again, I think that we can't overstate it enough that this is a once in 32-year situation, and so we're all learning as we're going. So I think we need to give ourselves a little grace, but I do think it's important that we have some protocols for the facts that will be going out from the town, and I strongly believe in educating our town from us. So I think that it's important that we have multiple eyes on the messaging before it goes out, and I'm personally comfortable with it being the chair and vice chair.
Nicole?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I have trust for the both of you that that's what will happen. I'm just, I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm placing my trust in you. That something like that doesn't happen again.
Thank you. Thank you both for the trust. But I can already tell you that we're going to put one word out there wrong, even though we may see it as fact or correct. I can see this. I can see some segments of the population getting upset. So I guess I would just ask the board for grace in saying that I will try my level best to put the facts out there with Lisa jointly.
How about we will do our level best?
We will do our level best, and we'll see where the chips fall.
May I ask a clarifying question also? I know there's been some debate over whether or not visuals will be used, infographics. I personally, as a elder millennial, really love a good infographic, and I also think that does speak to different learning styles. Do we anticipate there will be any visuals like that, or?
I think I'm aware that people learn differently. Some people learn with pictures, others with words, and all that good stuff. So I can totally see something being there, but it would have to be, to Nicole's point, fact-based.
Sure.
Right?
Well, I also think that this is really, this is not our job. So I don't know that we can promise that it's going to be delivered, since it's not us that will be developing the design or anything. What we can do is offer the template and ask if that can be put into a graphic. But beyond that, it's really Steve and his team. If they have the capacity, and will do that for us. But we can offer the language.
Or the tone, specifically.
Yeah, I think it's important that we send messaging, obviously that's factual, but that it reaches across all the different learning styles so
Absolutely.
that people can understand it. So that's something we'll have to work on. So I guess the question is, though, who's going to actually provide the information? Is the board going to provide us a template, a draft that we?
Well, this has to be a collaborative effort.
Yes.
Right? I do think this has to be a collaborative effort. So whether that's the two of us, our board members, can certainly send us your thoughts of what you'd like to see out there. Steve, Kate, all the parties that are interested in it should feel free to send their ideas our way. And then Lisa and I will come to an agreement, and then we'll pass off to you and Kate. Then you send the post back to us for the final approval or not, and then boom, off we go.
I'm going to amend that. I think I would like less of a barrage. So I would like Kate to send any messaging through Steve. If Steve's okay with it, he can send it to us. And then we will take that messaging and craft what we think is the most fair. Hopefully, all we do is look at it and go, yes, this is great. Because I don't want to minimize Kate's role. At the same time, this is everybody has an opinion, and this is really touchy. And honestly, I will say that Ed and I are being brave taking this on, you know, but it's only for this interim. It's not something that we plan on doing beyond this.
Not past this.
No. So is that okay, that it go that way first?
Well, this is only a couple week period.
I know, that's why it's like Kate, Steve, then it comes to us, just like everything else should come through Steve.
Right, but don't you think it'd be helpful if Steve and Kate knew, like, these are the things we're generally interested in? Like, give them at least a little bit of a framework
Oh,
to build
absolutely.
from?
I'm fine with that. Maybe
Alright.
we should have a meeting.
We,
You know?
yeah, we can have a meeting. I think we have some information
I
already.
mean,
We
if you
can-
have stuff already, send it to us.
Yeah, we can pull something together.
This is just to minimize, what I'm trying to do, and help me to develop this, is an efficient way of getting this done now.
Yeah.
We urgently need to get messaging out.
Yeah.
Right. What we need to do is answer the question, who approved this? And I think it's
Right.
best if we let our communications manager draft the messaging
That's what I was
and then
saying.
get it to you for your edits, and somebody has to approve it, because we need to answer the
We'll
question.
approve it,
Who
we'll
approved it?
edit it. The only thing, I just want you in there.
Yes, I
You're the
would prefer.
manager.
Correct.
So I don't feel comfortable having it just come from Kate. I need you to look and go, yep, send it on.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, I think we need a,
All right, is there a motion on the table?
I'm not exactly sure how to phrase it, but I'll give it a shot.
How about that?
Oh, is it on there? Well, it should be on there, shouldn't it?
I don't think we will.
Okay, I move to authorize the chair and vice chair to create, approve, and publish, I'm gonna say, factual information for Proposition 2.5 override on behalf of the board on the website. But it only says website and on social media
Yes.
yes.
and the newspapers,
All avenues.
all communication avenues.
Once the message is approved, it's approved. I think we should just
Yeah, any platform.
get it out there.
Correct.
I agree.
Motion made.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Number 6, town manager's report.
Great, thank you. So as usual, I endorsed warrants. We had an official kickoff meeting for the Human Services Study. We included Recreation Director, Veterans Agent, and Council on Aging Director at that meeting. And the Collins Center is working on a community survey to determine what needs the town has. Some exciting news. I signed the 2025 Belchertown Fair contract with Finelli Amusements, so we're going to have a fair again this fall. It's always a gratifying day when you sign off on that. I attended one of the few, I think there was 2 or 3 wayfinding committee meetings over the past couple of weeks, and I did attend one. They're making a lot of progress. We do have some things to talk about in a few minutes with wayfinding and the branding. I did attend a rural check-in meeting with Mass Development and Ann Goby. We have these meetings a few times a month. I don't always attend, but when I do, they're usually pretty interesting. And the topic, Ann Goby puts these on. And the topic this past week was bringing Mass Development in and some of their economic advisors, which was a little bit of a duplicate because we also had a personal meeting Doug Albertson, Jen Turner, and I met with Mass Development and got a meet and greet with some of their new economic development professionals. We also had a rural development grant check-in that I attended. I had a meeting with the Ludlow Boys and Girls Club, which I'll let Lisa bring that up in her report. She was there. I've been meeting with our grants coordinator. We have a big deadline coming up through the One-Stop Grants program that the state administers. June 4th is the deadline to apply. And we're working on a lot of different grants, including the roof for Tadgel. So she's working hard with that. Been meeting with the Human Resource Director on employee matters. I already mentioned the next one. I did attend the school committee budget meeting. They voted on their budgets. We're incorporating those numbers into the overall town budget, and we will be prepared for the May 1 budget presentation. I attended a recent EDIC meeting. I had a meeting with our conservation agent, our stormwater coordinator, and our treasurer collector. We talked about procedures for stormwater billing going forward. What we realized is we had an inefficiency in our town hall with the stormwater coordinator creating a database for billing and then transferring it to the treasurer collector's office and then having that person input that data. We're going to streamline it and have the stormwater coordinator go directly into the billing software, so that'll take a step out. Certainly helps with you know, the stress in town hall with the amount of work we have going on right now. I've been trying to follow the Quabbin watershed updates regarding the expansion of the MWRA's water supply. I did attend a meeting, and those conversations are still ongoing. I signed an agreement with Tyne Bond engineering firm out of Westfield for the Phase 1 Tadgel feasibility study. If you'll recall, we got a one-stop grant to study the building, $215,000. Phase 1's about $61,000 and some change. They're going to look at existing conditions, develop some very preliminary base plans, and we're going to have a little bit of a focus on the roof because we're going to use that data for the grant application that's due June 4th. So we're moving forward with that.
Will they have that back to us by time to apply?
Yeah, so Allison, our grants coordinator, is working on the language for the grant, and we'll just plug the numbers in when we get them.
That's great.
We're expecting the roof to be upwards of $2 million. You know, the building's solid. You know, it's worth doing if we can find the money, because it's only going to get worse. I'm also working with Linda, who left, but we have a quote. We're going to try to get a contractor up on the roof and try to at least dry up everything we can, try to keep whatever water out of the building that we can.
How close is it to falling in?
It's a ways out, you know.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 years ago that you're saying
Well,
another year.
Yeah, the
So-
roof membrane is completely failed. There's no doubt that it's done. The roof's not going to cave in. It's just that the water is pouring in several places, and it's not like there's a hole that needs to be filled. There's just widespread deterioration. So we're going to do what we can. I think Brian's back there laughing. You know, we could turn it into an indoor water park. I think that's.
It's consideration.
Yeah.
I have a question
Who would have ever
too.
thought that would be a big thing?
About, you had mentioned a few items back, that you had a meeting with the EDIC. What are they up to right now?
So unfortunately, the meeting posting was misplaced, so the entire meeting is null and void. But they are re-meeting this week to recast votes, but they are still working with Mass Development on the powerhouse demolition, marketing for the open areas, the commercial areas. They're still in talks with the developer, RISA, for the 105 unit apartment complex.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything about that.
there was a little bit of an update about, they've applied for some, financing and some tax incentives, and we're waiting to hear back on that before we can get a better schedule.
Okay, just,
Yeah, there was something else that it might come to me, that I thought was important, but, yes, it's very important. One of my priorities this year, and one of my very big lifts is going to be our agreement with Mass Development
yes.
expires in October. So that is absolutely gonna have to be a priority of mine to make sure that we work through that process.
Okay.
And I don't know where it's gonna land, if they're, what their level of interest is. But I'm hoping that we can continue with our relationship with them. They've done a lot for us, and, I look forward to working through that. I've been speaking with town council about, election guidelines. And I endorsed the fiscal year 25 Cultural Council allocation grant. This is the money that the Cultural Council uses for its programming. A lot of the things you see the Cultural Council getting behind is grant funded. No cost to the town. So that's all I had for updates, or report, I mean. So I'll move into updates. The EDIC land transfer. So if the board recalls, we own property behind parcel D, and the EDIC has asked to transfer about 10 acres of that to square off the developable property for a industrial park. Tonight's planning board meeting, that was in the other room when I interrupted you earlier, was regarding a zone change for that property. That's gonna be in the town meeting warrant. So the 10 acres, not the full 60 acres that the town owns, but 10 acres of it would need to have a zone change for it to be ready for business use. So that's gonna be up to the voters at town meeting to approve, and if it's approved, then it can be incorporated into the industrial park. So that's what's going on tonight. 6 and 8 Berkshire Ave, I haven't done anything with. I'm still working out some details with that. The Tadgell Tower removal, we're hoping that that's scheduled any time now. We're just waiting to hear back from the contractor. The elevator, the contractor's still pulling together all the materials before we take it out of service.
When's that gonna happen?
I'm hoping this summer, yeah, at the
Okay.
latest. Yep. They were waiting for the carriage, where you get into. They were waiting for some interior fixtures to go inside of that.
Okay,
Because once they take it apart, it's gonna be, pull it apart, put it back together, because we're not gonna have ADA access to the second floor, which means if somebody can't access the second floor by stairs, we have to go down to them.
What's the downtime, the projected downtime?
I'm hoping it's gonna be less than a week, so we'll see.
well, again, the reason why I'm asking is the elevator was on its last legs, if you will, and that was, what,
Yeah.
7 months ago or something?
Yeah, it's still limping along. The big concern is, when we say it's on its last legs, we're not worried that it's gonna, have a catastrophic failure. But the next thing that breaks could be the last thing that we can fix, because you can't get parts for it. It's obsolete.
Okay.
So we're doing our best to patch it together and keep it maintained and keep it running.
So you're looking at this summer for when
Yes,
that's gonna
definitely.
happen.
Yep.
And 6 and 8 Berkshire, I don't mean to bring this up, but
Mhm.
where are we on that? What is happening?
We've been talking to some different developers, trying to come up with some different options for the buildings. And then once we tweak that a little bit, we're probably gonna be going out with another RFP like we're doing at Franklin School.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
What's the timeline on that?
Well, I was hoping to have Franklin School behind me before I moved into the next one. So
Okay.
I'm thinking summer again on that. Yep. And, there may be some opportunities to partner with some different agencies as well. That's another thing we're pursuing with Mass Development and
Okay.
EDIC, if we can try to pull something together, or maybe a joint project. So there are some high-level conversations. We just haven't pulled anything together yet.
May I ask a follow-up question? When the town election and the town meeting is behind us, would it be appropriate to have the EDIC board invited to come to a meeting And I mean, I personally have never met more than one or two of them at a time. I don't know if that would be interesting.
I think it would.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Where was I? Human Services Study, I just mentioned that. Financial Organizational Review Update. Final report's in. I distributed it to the board. It's not an agenda item, so we really can't talk about it tonight.
Yeah.
But once things quiet down, if we do want to have a conversation about the results and the findings, we can certainly schedule that. It may be with a new board, which would probably be appropriate too,
Yeah.
to make sure
So we
that,
can schedule that after town meeting.
sure, yeah. Next meeting updates, this is important, we have a bunch. So May 1st is our budget presentation. The town accountant and I, and the communications manager will be working on presentations for the next meeting. Excuse me, not the next meeting, May 1st meeting. I guess that is the next meeting, isn't it?
Next meeting's, yeah.
I believe the school committee will be there. I don't know if you have a quorum.
Only a couple of people. We have negotiations that night.
The finance committee will be there, so it'll be a joint meeting. We'll have it in the auditorium.
Okay.
May 5th is our regularly scheduled meeting. We have a liquor license hearing for Masa Mexicano. We have a poll hearing coming up. We have annual performance reviews for the fire chief, police chief, and your town manager.
All right, thanks for bringing it up. Everyone kindly send me your feedback, just so I have to assemble it all when you get a chance.
For those 3 positions.
We're gonna be doing the proclamation for Pride Month, as well as approving the raising of the flag. And we have the final review and vote to endorse the warrant for the special and annual town meeting.
On the 5th,
That's May 5th, yep.
busy night.
Yeah.
The next one has been a little bit of a problem. Nicole can chime in. We were hoping to have a meeting on the 19th, which is election night. The branding committee is trying to get in front of the board with their logo, not the town seal. The town seal is not changing, it's just being digitalized, and the town clerk's gonna be looking at that. But the logo, the branding committee would like to get that approved, and I don't know if they're bringing 1 or 3, but they need to get it approved in time to submit to the wayfinding committee, so the wayfinding committee can start ordering signs for that initiative. So,
May
I-
21st was, I think, Scantex
yeah, we had,
deadline, the wayfinding company's deadline.
But can we do it May 5th? Why can't that be on the May 5th?
Because I don't think the graphic designer will have the logo ready by May 5th.
Oh.
So we were hoping for that week.
Is there a reason not to do the May 19th date?
I think one of the select board members wants to be at the polls.
I'm sorry, what?
Jen's gonna wanna be at the election.
Sure, so crazy idea. Could we start a little earlier and could we hold it at the high school?
No, because Jen's not allowed on the property during an election.
Oh, she could log in for a quick discussion, I suppose.
And not only that, it's a rush hour at the polls after work, so I don't think she's gonna wanna be.
Well, I can tell you, I'm in Washington DC the following day, and I'm not back until Friday. So that's why I'm like, okay, can we?
What time do the polls close on the 19th, 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
So if we start at 6, we'll be done, right? We can all get over to the polls.
I think to Nicole's point, that's usually a busy hour for voting.
Yeah, well, Jen's
Oh, but
on
if
the
we do it here.
branding committee?
Yeah, she is. I mean, that's the other alternative, is leave it up to her if we still do it on the 19th, and leave it up to her if she wants to attend or not.
She could attend remotely from the parking lot, I suppose,
Or we
for
could do it here.
a quick conversation.
It's not a far commute.
I mean, this is not gonna be a long meeting, so.
Except
really
I'd like
be
to be
just
there when the
that one
polls
item.
close
Oh,
too.
no. It's gonna be dragged out.
Oh,
That's my father's laugh.
yeah,
But I like the idea.
that could be a rough night, because it's somebody's last day
Oh, yeah.
on the job.
We're definitely going to take our time. I'm gonna talk about every topic.
It's gonna show up in shorts.
Can we do the 19th?
I'm fine with it, I just,
Just check with Jen.
you know, we've been kinda struggling, we
I
sent
don't
out a
think we have
doodle
a
poll and.
choice. I think we do it, and if she can attend, great. If she
Yeah.
can't,
Yeah,
Do you know how many options we're getting? Are we getting one or
well,
three?
here's
or-
the thing, we will have quorum if there's the four of us here.
yep, yeah. I think we're getting a couple.
A couple?
Yeah. And I see what you're saying about the, people might wanna go vote. Is that what you're afraid of? We might miss their opportunity to vote?
No, meaning Jen would want to be.
Jen would wanna be
talk to
out
the
at the
people.
at her tent when,
Maybe.
During
Yeah,
that
We
hour.
can wait and ask her, I guess.
I don't think we have time to wait. I
I
think
think we should
just
do the
it.
19th, yeah.
Let's do the 19th, and let's do it at 6:30 like we always do.
Do you think we'll be, yeah, cause I wanna go to the polls afterward. I don't know
The
about
results
you all.
won't be available till 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
That's what we're gonna do with your last night. We're gonna stay all night long.
Sweet, all right, we can make that happen.
Great. We'll bring tents.
See, let's get a one-day liquor license for the beer. And select board beer, please.
School?
One-day liquor license.
That's what Yetis are made for.
So May 19th at 6:30, we now have a meeting
yeah,
Okay.
here.
yeah.
Do you wanna start earlier or no?
Nah.
Nah, okay.
Yeah.
6:15 was a disaster, so.
So May 1st, May 5th, May 19th.
Okay, June 2nd, is the next one.
Oh gosh, they just keep coming, don't they?
That is a regularly scheduled meeting,
Which one?
June 2nd.
Oh, yes.
Well, don't you mean town meeting, May 30?
Oh, yes, we have May 31st, which is
Yes,
town
everyone
meeting.
please come.
We don't have anything May 27th, right?
No, we had talked about doing the branding meeting on the 27th or 29th, but that's now canceled. So we would jump, yes, May 31st, if there's business that needs to be addressed prior to the special town meeting, we would convene a short meeting. I'm gonna try to avoid that since the special town meeting is at 8:30.
Yeah. You want us there for 8?
I think we probably have to be there.
Well, you should get there early anyways, but if we do have to post an agenda because something has to be addressed before town meeting, I'll let you know. So, I will-
Okay, what are we talking now, June 2nd?
So that was May 31st before the town meeting. Traditionally, the board gets together before the special town meeting for a quick take care of business meeting, but we don't have to do that. So then we're jumping to June 2nd. We're gonna reorganize the select board.
Right, and that'll be like our first normal meeting as a new board.
Yep. And then we have,
And everyone will be there.
if they're running, I guess they better put it on their calendar.
I would assume.
Yeah, 'cause we have, you know, the chances are good that we're gonna have at least one new select board member. We're also gonna be appointing the treasurer collector, excuse me, the assistant treasurer collector, town accountant, and assistant town accountant. And we're gonna have a discussion on the code of conduct, which I believe I sent to
Oh,
everybody.
yeah, an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, did that go out to everybody?
Did you send that
I
recently?
don't think I got it. I sent one to you, Steve. Maybe you could send that out to the other members of the select board.
Okay.
Is this the same code from about a year ago?
Yeah,
About 10
there's,
months ago?
there's one for elected officials, one for town employees,
Yeah.
and then there's a sample from another community, so we were gonna,
I wouldn't mind a refresher myself.
yeah, so I'll get that out so everybody can, it's a lot of reading, so I'll get it to you. And I'm sorry this has taken so long, but it's been a busy while. And then after that, June 16th is the second Monday of the month, and at this point, I think we'll probably assign liaison duties that night.
Okay.
And then hopefully, we'll be back on a regular twice-a-month schedule, and we can all get some rest, watch baseball, all that fun stuff. So that's next meeting's update. Surplus property, we talked about Franklin School. We did have the not the feasibility, the facilities plan from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission identified 191 town properties. I'm gonna engage with the Buildings and Grounds Committee and ask them to start reviewing those. And then I'm gonna reach out to some department heads that have interest in property, Linda, Kyle, the Recreation Director, just to make sure that the properties that we're keeping are the ones that we should keep, and anything that doesn't make sense that we start getting rid of, get it back into the tax rolls. And then finally, the FY26 budget update. As I had mentioned earlier, at the end of March, the town accountant and tax assessor looked at all the numbers leading up to the end of the third quarter of the fiscal year, and they bumped up the projections by $90,705. There was $43,499 in local receipts, which is your fees. There was $25,000 bump in ambulance estimates for recovery next year. And new growth has increased. This is your new construction taxation based on anticipated new construction. That jumped $22,206. Again, the total is $90,705. Oftentimes, this might not even be part of a budget cycle because we're already further along than we are this year, but we want to make sure we get every penny to where it needs to be. So the normal 70-30 split put $63,494 back into the schools. I'm sure that's going to help plug some holes, regardless of whether or not the override passes.
Was that a reference back to the transfer station?
No, it doesn't help there. And
Thank you.
that also meant $27,101 on the town side. I directed it towards our overlay account. The overlay account's what we use for tax abatements. I did this so that the vote previously on the distribution of free cash, which included OPEB, would stand. And if the tax work-off program, if the HEROES Act, if any of those pass at town meeting, they're funded.
Okay.
That's great.
That's
If
good
they don't
news.
pass, then next year it'll be part of our free cash, and we'll deal with it that way. I didn't want to take it away from anybody, so it was a great opportunity to
Thank you.
work on that.
That's
So,
great.
It's great.
and you can thank our town accountant for that. We also got notice that the House Ways and Means Committee recently approved their version of the budget. It was $54,000 above the governor's budget, which would mean 70-30 split, $38,000 for the schools, approximately $16,000 for the town. We're a little bit cautious about trying to take advantage of that. You know, one, it's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things when we have a $60 million plus budget. And secondly, the Senate version of the budget hasn't come out. Once that comes out, there'll be a committee formed to reconcile the difference between the two budgets, and then it has to go back to the governor, and the governor has the rights to veto. We typically use the governor's budget because that's the first one out, and it's usually the most conservative. And last year, we were within $2,500 of that mark after everything settled down. So after consulting with the chair of the Finance Committee and the Select Board, we decided we were going to stick with the governor's budget. So that money is you know, one, it's not real, and I won't believe it till I see it.
Right.
And it's not going to solve any problem. So, and again, I think in a normal budget year, we would already be, our budgets would already be approved, and we'd be getting ready for town meeting right now. But because of this override question and the delay in town meeting, we're trying to look at every avenue that we can, but this one didn't make sense. So sorry I took so long on that, but that's all I have for tonight.
Very good. Anything in the mail? All right. Board members' reports. Whitney.
I will try to be quick because I think our last meeting we didn't have the ability to actually give board reports, but some of these are going back a ways. I'll skip over things that aren't terribly interesting. I'll start with March 24th that I also virtually attended the Ways and Means joint hearing on budget fiscal 26, which I thought was absolutely fascinating. I believe, Felisa, you probably will have that in your report. I believe that you also attended.
I did.
I hung in there for 3.5 hours, and it was
You hung in
fascinating.
longer than I did.
Fascinating. And just, I'm always so impressed by our representative, Jake Oliveira, and all the work that he's doing. And we've also had some local representatives who have been at subsequent meetings, and they've been saying great things about our town and the schools. I will combine these. I have attended 3 school committee meetings since that meeting, including their final budget presentation and vote. And I just wanted to say a few things about some of the committees I liaised on to. The McPherson Gardens back open again. They just had a great program called You're Back in the Garden. You're Back in the Garden. It's a play on words, like you're back in the garden and your actual back. And it's now on the BCTV, and I need to watch it because I have back problems from the garden. And then also, it's now passed, but the annual scholarship committee is in the process of reviewing their scholarships for the year as well.
Thanks. Nicole?
I'll condense too. I've had 3 branding Belchertown regular meetings, 1 FinCom meeting, regular meeting. I did a meet and greet with Lisa Stahl, our new cultural district manager. We also, on March 26th, had our branding Belchertown open house. 2 school committee meetings, and then on April 2nd, had a meeting with Superintendent Cameron, school committee chair, town manager, and the Massachusetts Association of Regional Schools to discuss very preliminarily steps for exploring school regionalization. And that's it.
Awesome. Lisa?
I went to the Western Mass Economic Ecosystem Summit on April 4th. I also went to the MSA Rural and Western Mass Conference. I met with Lisa Stahl, the Cultural District Manager. A group of us met with the Boys and Girls Club, as Steve was alluding to discuss a lot of different possible partnerships with them. And I think I'll leave it at that. I also I've gone to several MVP.2 meetings, and we are meeting again tomorrow. There was an initial proposal for how to spend the $50,000, but that went to the greater board, and it does not fall within the parameters of what they fund. So we're going back to the drawing board tomorrow with very specific guidelines on what is fundable, and that's going to be an interesting meeting. So that's tomorrow. And then I had the joy and delight to have lunch with our superintendent, Brian Cameron, where we talked about all things Belchertown, and it was a wonderful lunch.
Great.
Where'd you eat?
Yeah, what'd you have?
Who paid?
We went halfsies. The food was great, and thank you for asking, so that I can give a shout out to Tables on the Green. Wonderful meal. I'm so happy to see so many people going. The parking lot was full.
That's great.
I had to go across the street and park. I'm not complaining. But if you haven't gone, go. It's a great restaurant run by some great people.
We played around with golf too.
Awesome. Great.
I was wondering where all those bills were coming from.
Napping. So that's me.
Excellent.
I forgot to mention one thing, if I may. I forgot to mention last week, our Community Preservation Committee hosted a regional meeting, and they brought in the CPA rep from Boston, who gave an overview to a bunch of the CPC and town administrators, and it was just fascinating. I learned so much about how our Community Preservation Act money works and how it works with our taxes, and I was really glad that I was able to go learn about that.
That's awesome. Did he tell you how the state used to kick in money for that program when they stopped?
He didn't. He just said that there was no money coming from the state, so we kept it nice and clean.
Yeah, when that program first started, they used to match some dollars, and then that just slowly whittled away. So that is all on the backs of the Belchertown taxpayers for worthwhile projects that, quite frankly, I don't think would be funded otherwise. So
Right.
it's a good program for Belchertown.
I do want to do a shout out to WeMo. This is part of the Mass Municipal Association offerings.
Yeah.
I went to, they have quarterly membership, this is for women. So, for those on the board and those who may come on the board, it is a wonderful opportunity to meet with other municipal leaders who are doing the same thing we're doing. And really to mentor each other.
Yeah.
So I would take advantage of that. It's free and it's a great program.
Very good. Any questions from the press? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And you were adjourned at 8:50.
Before 9 o'clock. Congratulations.